Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Do you remember a while ago I did a review on a little tiny light meter, the ASTRHORI AH-M1 pocket light meter? Well, guess what? AstrHori have come out with another one. It's called the XH-2. It's very similar to this one. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys around the new light meter that AstrHori have come out with. And I don't need two light meters the same. So I'm going to be giving this one away. Earlier this year, AstrHori released an upgrade to their already popular AH-M1 light meter, and here it is, the AstrHori XH-2 light meter. I thought the M1 was already brilliant as it was, so I was eager to see what changes AstrHori had made to the new one. I was hoping for a jog wheel that snapped into place, a bit like your shutter speed dial on your camera, as I felt the M1 just was a bit too eager to rotate. It snaps into place, but it's still easy to nudge the settings when you're using it. I was also hoping for interchangeable colour skins, Bluetooth, integrated GPS and a cup holder that I suggested to them in the last review, but I don't think they listened. I did, however, mention that the M1 was a bit fiddly in the hands because it's so small, and I think AstrHori have taken note and made the XH-2 slightly bigger. I also mentioned it would be nice to have a little tiny metal loop on the case, so a neck strap like a lanyard would be really useful, so you can hang it around your neck as you're walking about taking pictures. It needs a little tiny lip for one of those things you put around your neck, so you can just keep it around your neck, because the amount of times I've nearly dropped it. But no, there's no loop on this one, so you have to have a little jiggle with the shoe mount on the back, as I have done on this one here, taken the screws off and managed to get this little lanyard on there so I can put it around my neck when I'm out taking pictures. So I was scratching my head wondering why the upgrade. I guess AstrHori just wanted to make it bigger, which they did, as you can see. However, if you plug it into your camera's hot shoe, it's going to give you problems depending on the hot shoe position. Enough said there. And the functionality of the new one is exactly the same as the old one, so it's almost as though they've taken the guts out of this one and put it into the bigger one. The other changes I've noticed is the hot shoe position. On the old one you could slide the hot shoe left or right to fit the camera. This time it's fixed, you can't do that. And also the light sensor at the front looks a bit more bigger and impressive on the new one than it did on the old one. And if it performs just as good as the original, then this thing is going to rock. So now I've got two of these light meters, I'm going to be giving this one away, the original one that I've had and used and loved for quite some time. I mean, who needs two light meters the same? I certainly don't. So let's get out in the field and try this new light meter out. I'm going to put the original AstrHori MH-A1 back in the box. I'm going to give it a little clean and get it sent for packing. Don't forget, jump onto the video where I did a review on this light meter. Tell me what camera I packed to do the shoot. Come back to this video, stick it in the comments what camera it was, and I'll select a random person out of the comments section to win this little tiny light meter, and I'll mention the winner in my next video. Meanwhile, I'm off to try this one out. Stick it round my neck. Off I go. Mr. Bloody Pilot. They create a load of noise, don't they? I'm in a sunflower field. Look at these babies, eh? Sunflower time. So it's quite nice. I've already spoke to the farmer. I said, do you mind if I go in your sunflower field to take a few photographs? He says, no, fill your boots. I said, all right, nice one. He didn't quite say it in that accent. It's more sort of countrified, but you know what I mean. Some of these sunflowers were taller than me. Look at this one. It's amazing how these things grow, but they're fantastic for photographs. That's why I've come down FP4, Ilford FP4. I'm pushing it at 400, so I'll get a little bit more speed out of the film and a little bit more grain, I suppose, when I'm developing. And I've got two patches. I've got this one here where I am, and there's one right up the back there, which I'm also going to go to in a short while, which has got nice scenery in the background. But moreover, I'll be able to test this little light meter out. Look at these things, they're gorgeous for photographs. There's a butterfly, he's gone. There's a butterfly there, look. Little butterfly in there. There he goes. So these are really nice to take photographs of in colour or black and white. I like black and white. We'll see what we can do with this later on. But this is the sunflower field where I am. So there's the light meter. That's going to go around my neck in a moment. It's got the lanyard on it. I'll show you how I did that. I've got the camera, the Nikon F3 28mm lens. I've also got the 50mm and I've also got the 180mm as well. And although the F3 has got a light meter inside, usually I use this on aperture priority, but I'm not going to today. I'm just going to put whatever settings the light meter tells me, and obviously I'll be able to see inside the camera what this gives as well. But I'm only going to use the settings what the light meter gives me. So before I get the camera out, I'll quickly show you the composition that I want. Can you see at the back there? You've got trees and stuff. I don't really want those, so I'll be looking to come low down where I can get those out of the shot and looking up at the sunflowers. So we'll see what sort of compositions we can get with the different lenses. And I've also brought out a reflector with me as well, just in case I want to hold the reflector, bounce some light back into the sunflower and close the aperture down a little bit more, you know, get the sky a little bit darker and focus on the sunflower with a reflector. Might be tricky because I've got one camera in one hand and a reflector in the other. But let's see how we can get on with this light meter. If it's anything like the first one they sent me, I can never forget the names, AH-M1, it's going to be awesome, because that little light meter, as I said in the last video I made, was really, really good. And a lot of you guys said in the comments at that time, well, I've just got a light meter on the phone, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with a light meter on your phone if it works for you. Personally, I keep my phone in my pocket or in my bag when I'm taking photographs and save the battery, makes a little bit of sense. And there's my phone now, strapped to my bike. I'm not going to take that off, I need that to tell me how fast I'm going. So I'm using the 28mm to start with. Obviously I've set the light meter to 400, which is the same speed I'm shooting with this film, and I've set this into aperture priority. So I'm choosing the aperture, which is f11, and when I do the metering, it's going to select the shutter speed for me, the appropriate shutter speed for my exposure. All I need to do is press the little button at the back, point it in the right direction, and it will give me what shutter speed for f11. Now I don't want to point it, let's have a look at the lighting is very even, the sky and the sunflowers, it's all very even. So I'm just going to do a basic point towards the sunflowers. It's reflective metering, by the way, so I'm going to point it towards the sunflowers and see what it brings back, like so. And it's given me, can't bloody see, 1/500th of a second f11. So that's what I'm going to take my first shot at, 1/500th. I'll tell you what the camera tells me. It's given me 500th of a second, exactly what the light meter said. So I'm happy to shoot at 1/500th. Let's get a nice photograph of these sunflowers. I don't want that background in. Do I shoot portrait, landscape? There's a little wasp on this one. But I'm just going to have some fun and take some pictures and see how they come out. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal of cloud up there. I'm just taking my pictures so there's enough room for the leaves and the sunflower to breathe. I've got a sunflower in the background as well, and that sunflower's moving slightly in the wind, so it's nice for that 500th of a second. So because I've already metered the scene at f11 1/500th of a second, ISO 400, I don't need to change. The light's not going, the sun's not going in and out of the clouds. I don't need to change my metering. I can just shoot willy-nilly at these sunflowers and keep in the same exposure settings. So I'll take a few random photographs now. I'll show you the images, the scans, and I'll also show you the negatives and see how they come out. Let's stick the 180 on now and see if we can get some telephoto shots of it. Now, I've just done the most stupidest mistakes. When I shot that telephoto lens, I was shooting at 5.6. I ain't got my glasses, I thought it was f11. I'm at f11. Those ones will be a bit overexposed, but these should be all right. So I was expecting to see some differences when this light meter was sent to me from Astrhori, the XH-2, and as soon as I opened it up I thought, okay, it's a little bit bigger, they've changed the design slightly, but obviously the features aren't going to change because the last one was brilliant. You know, it had all the features you wanted, shutter priority, aperture priority, had exposure compensation as well inside, so you could set the light meter to exactly how you want it, and it just works really well, as does this. Bloody Mr. Pilot! Giving it large up there. They're so noisy, aren't they? So that's it, let's pack the gear away, get back on the bike. I'll take you to another field. Do you remember, those of you guys that follow me on Instagram, I put a digital post up, a digital photograph of a field up there. I really liked the scene. I was scouting for some landscape shots using the digital and with the intentions of going back with medium format. I'll show you that field now, but when I was up there the other day to do the reshoot, they cut the grass. But I'm going to go up there now anyway because there's sunflowers up there as well. I'll show you the field I was talking about. It's too hot for bloody riding. Oh, I've got to get the bloody GoPro. Sweating like a camel. And that's the field, guys. I posted a shot, see what you guys think, on YouTube. I posted a shot the other day, digital. I was scouting this field. The grass was longer and it looked really nice, but they've come along and cut it all now, which is a real shame. But my focus was on these tractor lines here, you can see going up. And I took a shot, something similar to this, leading line with the tractor lines in the foreground right at the bottom, leading off to that tree there, which you can see not too much going off on that side. So I tried to keep the composition a little bit like that. So you've got a bit of this tree coming down, leading off to these smaller ones, and just in the background a little hill. And there's another little tree just there. And I asked you guys whether trees in your landscapes were distracting. Now I can imagine that if those trees weren't there and there was a little tractor somewhere, or maybe in the foreground or somewhere over here, you know, it would look quite nice, or maybe a dog in view or something. A dog in view? That didn't come out right, did it? Without those trees. So we've got a seamless scene going on. So I asked you guys whether you found trees like this to be distracted in your photographs. I must admit, I do. I'm looking at that thinking, how can I compose? But when I open my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, that could work, you know? And I took the shot. And let us know, guys. Sorry, I'm out of breath from that bike. Let me know if you guys find trees distracting. Is it a little pet hate of yours? Because I know it is mine. And this field was lovely long grass. But again, trees. Without the trees, long grass, nice clouds, orange filter maybe. It looked quite nice. But that's where I am anyway. And this was another shot here, another composition, low down, just with this gate edge leading off, and it was long grass again. I took another photograph of that just to see how it would look. And I came back with the medium format camera, Mamiya RZ67, and I put in there a roll of JCH Street Pan, real contrasty black and white film, that stuff. Hoping to get some dramatic looking scape, but the farmer come along and cut the grass. Why? Why did you do that? It was my photo. Let's have a look at the sunflowers. And here we go again, sunflowers again. Not the most wonderful field in the world of sunflowers. It doesn't go on and on and on. Again, you've got all this in the background. So I'll just have to come down until all that's out the background. Get nice and close on one of the sunflowers, as I did before, and see what we can get here. So let's change the settings. We'll come over to here. There's a little water trough here for no particular reason, just to try the light meter out. So we'll point it towards the trough, get my reading. Okay, 1/50th of a second at f11 it reckons. So let's go to 1/60th. Let's see what the camera says. So in the shade, my camera is saying 1/30th. The light meter says 1/50th. Taken quite a few shots of the sunflowers. I mean, how many photographs do you want of sunflowers? Once you've taken a couple, you've taken them all, you know. So I'm going to go off to somewhere that's a little bit shadier to try out this light meter. I'm going to go down Dickie's farm. Hopefully the cows are there, but I might be able to get a couple of shots there in shade and see how they come out, see how this light meter performs. Already over there, my camera said 1/30th, the light meter said 1/60th, but if that's the case, you can always tweak this light meter using the calibration. I can go up or down the compensation exposure and keep it there. I like coming down to the farm, take some pictures, nice and quiet. Sometimes there's animals here, but it's often got tractors and stuff to take photos of. And let's test out the light meter here in the shade. Okay, at 2.8, I'm going to get nice and close this time so I can get a reading here of the light reflecting back. 2.8 2/50th of a second, so let's see what the camera says. It's bang on, 2/50th of a second. So that light meter is working as good as this Nikon F3's meter. Let's get a little bit of the tractor wheel in. Done. So a quick overview on how to use this little light meter if you don't know. These little tiny indicators here is your battery charge. You've got 4 bars there, so it's fully charged. There's your exposure compensation or your calibration if you like, where it says EV. You can change that. There's your ISO at 400, I had it set to. There's your aperture and there's your shutter speed. On the back you've got this little tiny button. There it is there, and that's what you press to go through your settings. And at the moment the A means that it's in aperture priority mode, so I select the aperture and the light meter will select the correct shutter speed for me. If I double press the button at the back, it goes to shutter priority, so I select whatever shutter speed I want and the light meter will tell me what aperture I should be at. Double press and hold and it will take you to your speed indicator, so you can change the speed of your film, and double press and hold again and it goes to your calibration, so you can calibrate the light meter to however you want to shoot an exposure film. And there's 2 ways that it will record the light for you. One way is manual, so wherever I point the light meter, I press the button on the back and get my reading. If you short press the button, there you go, you get that little tiny arrow coming up, and now as I turn the light meter you can see the values change, so however you want to use it. Now at the moment I've got the light meter set on the OM20, the Olympus OM20, and you can see it sticks out, so that might not be great because that's going to dig in your head, but some cameras, depending on the position of the shoe on the camera, such as the Nikon F3, it doesn't protrude out that much and it's quite comfortable. So just be wary of that, whatever camera you're going to put it on. Sometimes it might dig in your head depending on the camera, other times it might not. But mostly I use it in my hand, as you saw in the video. So I came back with some half decent results from that shoot up in the sunflower field. I'll probably go back there again and try medium format next time, and hopefully there'll be a bit more cloud in the sky. Maybe I'll stick an orange filter on, sorry, and see if I can darken the blue sky down a little bit with some separation in the clouds. But as for this light meter, I think even the one that I'm giving away, they're just both fantastic light meters. And I know there is other light meters out there that people use, and people use their mobile phones. If that's for you, if that's what works for you, stick with it and keep using them light meters. But these little things, if you're on the market for a new light meter, these are absolutely fantastic, and I enjoy using these when I'm shooting my cameras without light meters. With the F3, like I said earlier on, it does have a light meter inside, and I was intrigued to see if this was matching what the F3 was matching or reading, and it was pretty much, give or take a smidge, it was, and the negatives prove that. I used this light meter all the way for those negatives, and they've come out really nice, easily printable, easily scannable, and I'm happy. I'm going to get back at that sunflower field at some point and get some pictures. If we get some decent cloud, maybe later on in the afternoon, maybe late just before sunset, so I can get that golden hour, get a reflector and get that working on some of the sunflowers. That might look quite nice. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know in the comments what light meter you guys use, even if you use your phone. Let us know what the app is for me and others to read, because it all helps. We're all one big community and we like to think that we're all helping each other out. I'll catch you next time.